A perfectly preserved dino skull, a feathered tail in amber, and two giants frozen mid-fight. These discoveries will blow your mind. In May 2025, paleontologists from the Fundación Conjunto Paleontológico de Teruel de Nápoles made an extraordinary discovery near Rio Deva in the Spanish province of Teruel. While excavating in the layers of the Villar del Arzobispo formation, they uncovered a remarkably well-preserved fragment of a Stegosaurus skull belonging to the species Dacentrurus armatus. Dating back around 150 million years, this skull is now considered the best-preserved Stegosaurian skull ever found in Europe. What makes this discovery so significant is the exceptional condition of the fossil. Dinosaur skulls, especially from stegosaurs, are incredibly rare due to the fragility of their bones. But this skull included large portions of the snout, upper jaw, and braincase, elements that almost never survive fossilization. For scientists, this is like discovering a missing puzzle piece that suddenly brings the whole picture into focus. A detailed analysis of the skull revealed never-before-seen anatomical features of Dacentrurus armatus, shedding new light on how stegosaurs chewed, how their muscles were arranged, and how their unique head shape evolved. This wasn't just a minor fossil find, it was a major leap in understanding the evolution of stegosaur skulls. But the discovery didn't stop there. Based on the new data, the research team proposed a bold new evolutionary classification, the Neostegosauria. This group includes medium and large stegosaurs that roamed Africa and Europe during the Middle and Late Jurassic, and later North America and Asia in the Late Jurassic and Early Cretaceous. The discovery helped redefine how stegosaurs are grouped and how they spread across ancient continents. According to the researchers, this double achievement, the unearthing of an extraordinary fossil and the reshaping of the stegosaur family tree, marks a major milestone in paleontology. And it may just be the beginning. The same dig site has already produced over 200 more dinosaur bones, including juvenile specimens, giving scientists the rare chance to study these creatures from hatchling to adult. This discovery positions the quiet region of Teruel as one of the world's most important fossil hotspots, and has firmly placed this fossil among the greatest stegosaur finds in history. Beneath the rust-colored cliffs of southern Utah, something truly astonishing has been hiding for millions of years, a prehistoric battlefield, a lost world frozen in stone. Paleontologists call it one of the richest dinosaur fossil sites in North America. But to anyone who visits the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, it feels more like stepping into the Jurassic Park we've only seen on screen. This site isn't just impressive for the number of bones found, it's the diversity and quality that blows scientists away. Whole skeletons, dinosaur tracks, even fossilized skin in some cases. We're talking about dozens of distinct dinosaur species, all buried together in what's been nicknamed the Dinosaur Graveyard. And this isn't a new discovery that was made decades ago and just talked about now. Fossils are still being uncovered today, each dig season adding something new to the picture. One of the standout finds here is Teratofonius, a distant cousin of T. Rex, but more compact and possibly faster. A full skull and nearly half the body were found, preserved so well that scientists were able to study how the muscles attach to the jaw. It's not just the dinosaurs either. This area preserves an entire ancient ecosystem. Fossilized turtles, crocodiles, fish, and even flowering plants have been found, giving us a full snapshot of life about 76 million years ago. It's one of the few places on Earth where we can study dinosaurs in the world they lived in, all in the same rock layers. But what makes this graveyard truly strange is the mystery around why all these bones are here in the first place. Scientists believe these dinosaurs didn't all die in the same event. This wasn't a single disaster. Instead, it seems the area acted like a natural trap over time. Dinosaurs may have gotten stuck in riverbeds during floods or droughts, buried quickly enough to preserve their bones almost perfectly. Over tens of thousands of years, this site slowly turned into a mass burial ground. The Grand Staircase has become a dream site for researchers, not just from the US, but from around the world. Excavation teams often camp for weeks in remote, sun-scorched outposts, brushing away layers of sandstone to reveal bones that haven't seen daylight in tens of millions of years, and what they find could rewrite what we thought we knew about dinosaur behavior, migration, and even evolution. Buried beneath a coal mine in Alberta, Canada, something surfaced that stunned even the most experienced scientists. A dinosaur fossil so complete, so perfectly preserved that it looks like it could almost wake up and walk away. This isn't just a fossil, it's a dinosaur mummy. A creature so well protected by nature that even the armor, the skin texture, and the last meal in its stomach were still intact. The fossil belongs to a nodosaur, a type of armored dinosaur related to ankylosaurs, but without the tail club. It lived about 110 million years ago, but the way it was preserved makes it feel like it's been pulled straight out of a time machine. The skin is so detailed that you can see scale patterns across its shoulders. Its spikes are sharp. Even the weight of its body compressed into the rock left a visible imprint. This nodosaur was discovered by accident in 2011 by a heavy equipment operator working at the Suncor Millennium Mine. At first he thought it was just a strange rock. Then the science team arrived and jaws dropped. It took nearly 7 years to remove the fossil from the surrounding rock. Every inch of it had to be cleaned by hand under a microscope, grain by grain. Why is this fossil nicknamed the Mona Lisa? Because in terms of natural preservation, it's a masterpiece. Most fossils are bones great for learning anatomy. But this one offers so much more clues about muscle structure, skin color, even how the creature moved and lived. It's like comparing a stick figure to a lifelike sculpture. Tests suggest the dinosaur died and quickly sank into what may have been a river or seabed, where sediment covered it instantly. No scavengers, no rot, just rapid burial and minerals locking everything in place. That's what saved it and what makes it so incredibly rare. Today you can see this wonder at the Royal Teruel Museum in Alberta. It's displayed in a glass case, but photos barely do it justice. It's not posed or reconstructed like most skeletons. It lies there in its natural position, like it simply went to sleep. For anyone who loves dinosaurs, it's as close as we've come to seeing one in real life. And in the world of fossils, that's about as magical as it gets. High in the Andes, near the Bolivian city of Sucre, there's this cliff that honestly seems to defy gravity. It's called Cal Orco, and at first glance it just looks like a steep wall of pale rock. But if you take a closer look, you'll see something absolutely jaw-dropping. Hundreds of dinosaur footprints crisscross the cliff face, looking for all the world like a prehistoric traffic jam. And no, this isn't some kind of science fiction. It's actually the world's largest and most dense collection of fossilized dinosaur tracks, over 12,000 individual footprints, made by nearly 300 different dinosaurs. And they're all visible in this one massive wall that stretches for more than a mile long and rises 300 feet high. If that doesn't sound surreal enough already, well, the tracks are tilted almost vertically, as if dinosaurs were somehow walking straight up the cliff. But the truth is even cooler. These tracks were once just part of a muddy lakeshore during the late Cretaceous, about 68 million years ago. Dinosaurs walked across it, leaving behind these clear impressions in the wet ground. Over time, layers of sediment buried those tracks, and tectonic forces slowly pushed and tilted the ancient lakebed until it became the vertical cliff we see today. What's really amazing is the sheer variety of tracks preserved here. You can spot three-toed carnivores, most likely from abelissaurids. There are long, sweeping marks from tail drags, and gigantic sauropod footprints that measure nearly 4 feet across. There's even a trail that's believed to be the longest single dinosaur trackway ever found a juvenile theropod that walked more than 1,100 feet, step by step, preserved for eternity. This site gives scientists something bones simply can't movement. You can actually tell how fast the dinosaurs were walking, whether they traveled alone or in groups, even how their gait changed on different terrain. It's like reading the choreography of creatures that vanished millions of years ago. Today, the site is protected by Parque Cretácico, a park built to preserve and showcase the tracks. There's a viewing platform, guided tours, and even lifelike dinosaur sculptures to help visitors picture what these animals looked like when they crossed that ancient mudflat. Cal Orco is living proof that sometimes the best fossils aren't bones, they're footsteps. And these ones tell a story of giants walking across a forgotten world, leaving behind signatures written not in ink, but in stone. In the humid forests of what is now Myanmar around 99 million years ago, a tiny dinosaur got its tail stuck in sticky tree resin. What happened next turned into one of the most fascinating discoveries in paleontology, a piece of amber preserving part of a dinosaur's tail complete with feathers, bones, and even traces of soft tissue. And, you know, this isn't a scene from Jurassic Park. It's real, and honestly, the fossil is just breathtaking. The amber, no bigger than a dried apricot, holds this delicate tail segment about 1.4 inches long. Inside you can see vertebrae, clearly arranged like a flexible spine, and surrounding them are brown and white feathers that still show their original patterns. It's the first time we've ever seen dinosaur feathers preserved in 3 dimensions, not just impressions in stone. What makes this discovery so groundbreaking is that it bridges the gap between birds and dinosaurs in a way you can actually see with your own eyes. The feathers look almost modern, fluffy, structured, and layered, but the tail inside belongs to a non-avian dinosaur. Specifically, it likely came from a small coelurosaur, a relative of raptors and tyrannosaurs, and definitely not a bird. When scientists analyzed the feathers under a microscope, they found details never seen in other fossils' hollow shafts. Barbs, even traces of pigmentation. This tells us that dinosaurs weren't just scaly lizards. Some were soft, feathery, and colorful. And wow, it really changes how we visualize these creatures. The fossil was originally discovered in an amber market, which made a few people raise their eyebrows. But once it was traced to a legally collected sample from a known site, scientists were able to study it in detail. Their findings confirmed something paleontologists had long suspected, that feathers evolved in dinosaurs not just for flight but also for display, insulation, and maybe even camouflage. Amber like this works like a prehistoric time capsule, locking in even the most delicate structures, not just bones, but entire ecosystems. Alongside the tail, other amber pieces from the same site have revealed lizards, insects, and ancient flowers basically, an entire Cretaceous rainforest in snapshots. This little tail in amber is honestly one of the most visually powerful fossils ever discovered. It reminds us that dinosaurs weren't just giants stomping across open plains, they were also small, agile, and sometimes beautiful, and they lived in lush, complex worlds that looked a lot more like ours than we ever used to think. For years, dinosaur fossils were seen as bones and, well, little else. But every so often, nature throws paleontologists a real curveball, like the fossil of a dinosaur that appears to have its heart still intact. The discovery happened in South Dakota, inside a specimen of Teruel, a small plant-eating dinosaur from the very end of the Cretaceous period. This particular fossil, now nicknamed Willow, showed something strange in its chest cavity, a dense mineralized structure right where the heart would have been. When scientists scanned it, they saw something incredible, what looked like chambers, valves, and even blood vessel pathways. The outline was so distinct, it sparked a scientific debate that's honestly still ongoing. Was this really a heart, or just a well-placed lump of iron minerals? Researchers used advanced imaging and CT scans to rule out random mineralization. The shape, location, and inner features matched what you'd expect from a 4-chambered heart, similar to what birds and mammals have. If true, it could mean that dinosaurs had more efficient circulatory systems than we previously believed. In other words, they might have been warm-blooded, fast, active, and full of energy. The implications are huge. For decades, scientists thought dinosaurs were cold-blooded like modern reptiles. But this fossil suggests that at least some of them had more in common with birds, a discovery that fits perfectly with what we now know about feathers, high metabolism, and even behavior. Even more fascinating, the fossil was found in the Hell Creek Formation, one of the richest dinosaur fossil sites in North America. This same formation has produced fossils of T-Rex, Triceratops, and now maybe the best preserved soft tissue organ ever found in a dinosaur. The heart fossil isn't just about anatomy. It's about breaking the limits of what we thought fossils could preserve. If hearts can survive, what else might be out there waiting to be found? For scientists, Willow has become more than a dinosaur. It's a symbol of what's still possible in paleontology. Not just bones, but full stories, written in stone and beating with clues to a prehistoric past. On the rocky coast of southern England, something massive was pulled from the earth that once ruled the ancient oceans. It wasn't a dinosaur, but a marine reptile that lived alongside them, a true sea monster from the Jurassic. We're talking about a giant Ichthyosaur, and this one may be the largest ever discovered in Britain. The fossil was found in Rutland Water Nature Reserve in the UK, buried beneath layers of mud and clay. At over 32 feet long, with the skull alone measuring more than 6 feet, this Ichthyosaur was roughly the size of a school bus. Its massive, toothy jaws and sleek body shape made it the top predator of its time, something like a mix between a crocodile and a dolphin. Ichthyosaurs were not fish, and they weren't dinosaurs. They were marine reptiles that evolved to live fully in the ocean. Their streamlined bodies and huge eyes allowed them to hunt deep underwater, possibly even at night. And they gave birth to live young, meaning they didn't need to return to land like sea turtles do today. What made this discovery so exciting was its level of preservation. Entire bones were found intact, not just the skull, but the ribs, spine, and flippers. Most large marine reptiles are found in bits and pieces, crushed or scattered. But this one was almost complete, lying in its final resting place as if frozen in time. The excavation was delicate and took weeks to complete. Paleontologists had to carefully remove hundreds of pounds of sediment, working with chisels and brushes to protect the fragile bones. Eventually, the fossil was removed in large slabs and taken to a lab for full conservation. This wasn't the first ichthyosaur found in the UK, far from it. In fact, the very first ichthyosaurs ever discovered were unearthed in the early 1800s by Mary Anning along the cliffs of Lyme Regis. But this new specimen is so massive and so pristine that it's been called the most important fossil discovery in Britain in decades. What's even more impressive is where it was found inland, not far from where people walk dogs and go fishing. It's a reminder that the Earth is still hiding ancient giants, sometimes just beneath our feet. In the windswept badlands of Patagonia, paleontologists made one of the most heartwarming discoveries in dinosaur science. Not a predator's skull or a towering skeleton, but a nursery. A massive site packed with dinosaur nests, eggs, and even fossilized embryos, perfectly preserved after more than 190 million years. The site belongs to Mosaurus, a small, long-necked dinosaur that lived during the early Jurassic. What scientists found was extraordinary: over 80 nests arranged in clusters, each containing up to 30 eggs. Some eggs had entire skeletons of baby dinosaurs inside, curled up, just like modern birds before hatching. This wasn't just a lucky pile of eggs. The layout of the nests and their positioning across several layers of sediment show clear evidence of social nesting behavior. Mosaurus didn't just lay eggs and walk away. They likely returned to the same site season after season, nesting in colonies and raising their young together, much like birds and crocodiles do today. It's one of the earliest examples of this kind of behavior ever found in dinosaurs. Before this, scientists believed that social behavior in nesting didn't evolve until much later. But this site pushes that timeline back by tens of millions of years. The fossils also revealed a rare glimpse into how these creatures grew. In the same area, researchers found dinosaurs at every stage of life, from embryos to hatchlings to juveniles to adults. That allowed them to study growth patterns, bone structure, and even how fast these dinosaurs may have matured. And here's a surprising twist. Despite its name meaning mouse lizard, Mosaurus grew to be over 10 feet long as an adult. It walked on all fours as a hatchling, but switched to walking on two legs as it grew. That's something we don't often see in modern animals, and it adds to the uniqueness of the find. This discovery didn't just come from one lucky dig. It took years of research, high-tech scanning, and careful excavation. But the reward was priceless: a full look into how a species lived, grew, and raised its young nearly 200 million years ago. It's not every day that fossils make you stop and think about family. But this nesting ground in Argentina proves that even ancient dinosaurs cared for their young, and they left behind the traces to prove it. On a quiet ranch in Montana, paleontologists unearthed something so rare, it seemed almost stage 2 dinosaurs fossilized together in what looks like the middle of a deadly fight. One was a juvenile Tyrannosaurus rex, the other a ceratopsian, possibly a species related to Triceratops. The way their skeletons were found fully articulated and closely intertwined earned them the nickname the Dueling Dinosaurs. Unlike most fossils, which are found in scattered fragments, these two creatures were discovered almost completely intact, skull to tail. Even more shocking, both show signs of soft tissue impressions, possible skin texture, and maybe even muscle outlines. It's one of the most complete T-Rex fossils ever discovered, and it's paired with a nearly perfect herbivore opponent. The big question: did they actually die while fighting? Or were their bodies brought together by nature after death? The evidence leans toward combat. The ceratopsian's ribs show signs of trauma, and the T-Rex's skull has unusual wear on the teeth and jaw. The poses they were found in are just too precise. It looks like the T-Rex may have been biting into its prey when both were suddenly buried, likely in a sudden landslide or collapse. What makes this discovery more thrilling is what it tells us about dinosaur behavior. Before this, fossil fights were just theories, scratches on bone, bite marks here and there. But this is like having front row seats to a prehistoric showdown. The fossils remained out of public view for years due to legal disputes and the complexity of the extraction. But now they've found a permanent home at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences, where scientists are carefully analyzing every inch in public view in a special open lab exhibit. It's not just a fossil, it's a real-time mystery. An ancient story told in bones, and for the first time, we're seeing dinosaurs not as statues in a museum, but as living, breathing animals caught in the final seconds of a battle that's been preserved for over 66 million years. Some dinosaurs looked like birds, some were birds. But Anchiornis? It was something in between a feathery, winged dinosaur that couldn't fly, but left behind one of the most stunning fossils ever discovered. Found in northeastern China, in the fine-grained rocks of Liaoning province, this small dinosaur was about the size of a crow, covered in feathers from head to toe. It had wings, it had a long feathered tail, it even had feathers on its legs, giving it a four-winged appearance. But here's the twist: it wasn't a bird, not even close. Anchiornis lived around 160 million years ago, earlier than many true birds. Its feathers weren't just scattered fluff, they had complex structures with barbs and veins like modern flight feathers. But its bones and shoulder joints show that it couldn't actually fly. Instead, it likely glided or used its wings for display, balance, or warmth. What makes Anchiornis so important isn't just its appearance, it's what it tells us about evolution. It proves that feathers didn't start with birds. They evolved in dinosaurs long before wings were used for flying. And with new imaging techniques like laser fluorescence scanning, scientists have even detected pigment patterns in the feathers. Turns out Anchiornis probably had black and white plumage with a reddish crest more punk rock than prehistoric monster. This tiny creature also helps explain how birds evolved from theropod dinosaurs. It's a key piece in the puzzle, showing an evolutionary stage that blends the traits of both a creature perched on the edge of a major evolutionary leap. Anchiornis may not have taken flight, but it soared into the spotlight as one of the most beautiful and informative fossils ever found. It shattered old assumptions, added color to our image of dinosaurs, and reminded us that evolution doesn't always follow a straight path. Sometimes it takes detours through creatures that look like birds, walk like dinosaurs, and change everything we thought we knew. That's about it. Write in the comments which find did you like the most. For more useful information, watch other videos.